I wanted to rewrite my will in my son's name, but my neighbor called me. Come to my place immediately alone. What she discovered in her backyard saved everything I owned. I'm so happy you're here with me today. Please stay until the very end and tell me what country you're watching from. I love knowing how many places my story reaches. My days had been simple and calm for the last 4 years. After my wife Helen died, I lived by myself in our small ranch house in the Denver area, the same home where we'd watched our son Michael grow up. We'd paid off everything years back, and with Helen's teacher pension plus my retirement money, I had enough to live nicely, not rich but comfortable. Michael came by every few weeks, usually bringing his partner Derek. They'd eat lunch with me on Saturdays. We'd discuss their work, their future dreams. Derek managed a coffee shop. Michael worked in human resources at a shipping warehouse. They always seemed content, though lately they talked more and more about needing extra cash. I'd helped them out with small amounts here and there, money they'd taken happily. But something felt different these past several weeks. It began quietly. Michael started calling much more often, asking simple questions about my medication, my money matters, whether I'd looked at my will lately. Just want everything organized, Dad, he'd explain. You're getting older every day. The words sounded kind on top, but something underneath made my chest feel tight. Then Derek began speaking up during these talks. His voice extra nice and sweet. Thomas, have you considered making things easier? So Michael won't have problems when, well, you understand. When what? When I was gone. I was 72 and pretty healthy, not dying anytime soon. 3 weeks back, they showed up on a Wednesday afternoon without calling first. Michael said I should meet with their attorney buddy to fix some paperwork. Derek held my shoulder and grinned. It would make us feel so much better knowing everything's set up right. But I already owned a will. Everything went to Michael anyway. He was my only kid. What needed fixing? I'd seen other strange things too. Little things. Derek asking specific questions about which pills I took daily. Michael walking around my bedroom talking about someday painting it. The way they'd both begun treating me like I was weaker than I felt, acting like I was mixed up when my mind worked just fine. Last Monday, Michael arrived carrying a folder full of papers. Just some planning documents, Dad. Put your name here, here, and here. I'd reached for my glasses when something made me stop. Why so fast? Why couldn't I read everything carefully first? Let me check these later, I'd told him. I'll sign them when you visit next time. The whole room got cold. Derek's smile disappeared. Michael's face got hard. It's really basic stuff, he'd said, his voice angry. Nothing complicated at all. But I'd stayed firm. They'd left sooner than normal, and I'd felt their unhappiness like freezing fog. That happened 6 days ago. Since then, Michael had telephoned twice each day, pushing me about those papers. Did you read them yet? When can we pick them up after you sign? The rushing felt bad. Everything felt bad. This morning I'd finally decided something. I was being silly. I scolded myself. Michael was my son, my only boy. Obviously he cared about what happened to me. I was probably imagining problems, letting loneliness twist normal worry into something mean. I'd grabbed my phone to call him to say bring the papers back, that I'd sign everything. I'd begun pressing buttons when my mobile phone rang. It was Samuel, my neighbor from 2 houses over. His voice sounded weird, shaky, serious. Stop what you're doing. Don't sign anything. Don't call Michael. Come to my house right now by yourself. This is really important. Please hurry. My hand froze holding the phone. Samuel, what's happening? Thomas, come immediately and don't tell anyone you're coming here. He'd hung up. I'd stood in my kitchen, my heart beating fast. Samuel was 75, a retired firefighter, smart and calm. I'd never heard that sound in his voice before, that mix of scared and determined. What could he possibly know? I'd looked down at my phone, at Michael's number still showing on the screen. My finger stayed over the call button. Then I'd put the phone down, grabbed my jacket, and walked out my side door. The 2-house walk to Samuel's felt like walking for hours. What had he learned? What did he find out? And why were my hands shaking as I knocked on his door? When he'd opened it, his face looked pale and worried. He'd pulled me inside fast, locked the door after us, and took me to his dining room table. A mug of coffee sat there waiting, still hot with steam. "Sit down, Thomas," he'd said softly. "What I need to tell you will hurt your feelings badly, but it could save your whole life." Samuel's hands shook as he poured himself coffee. He didn't look straight at me at first, just watched the steam coming up from his mug. "Yesterday morning," he started speaking slowly. "I was in my side yard pulling weeds by the fence. You know how the bushes grow thick there, right next to your land. I wasn't trying to listen to private talk, Thomas. You must believe that. What did you hear?" My voice came out quiet like a whisper. He took a big breath. "Michael and Derek were in your backyard. I heard them talking through the fence. They probably thought you were inside and couldn't hear them. They were fighting but keeping their voices quiet." She stopped, her eyes getting wet with tears. "Thomas," Michael said, "once he signs the updated will and the control papers, we'll have around 8 months, possibly shorter." And Derek said, 8 months until what happens? And he said. She paused, her voice breaking. "Tell me everything," he said, "until we can make it seem like an accident. Old men trip and fall constantly. They forget to turn off the gas. They mix up their medicine. Just happens to people." The dining room started spinning. I held on to the edge of the table really tight. Derek asked about the money. Samuel kept talking, his voice cracking. He said, "But the house only sells for maybe $350,000. That won't fix our money troubles." And Michael said, "It's not only the house. There's the life money, $200,000, plus his savings and investment money. He's been careful his entire life. My mother's pension included survivor payments he never used. We're looking at close to $750,000 total, maybe even more. $750,000. Been careful, yes. Smart with money. Helen and I had saved, put away money slowly, spent less than we made. We'd wanted safety. We'd wanted to leave Michael something good." "There's more things," Samuel said quietly. "Derek said something about how you were too strong and healthy and that the papers had to be signed first so they'd control everything. Michael said the updated will removes any other people getting money. He talked about a group you'd planned to give money to, and the control papers would let them touch all your money right away if you got too sick to decide things. The Animal Rescue League. Helen and I had promised them 15%, $100,000. We'd loved dogs and cats our whole lives together. They discussed timing too." Samuel kept going. Derek said, "What if he already told somebody about the charity group?" And Michael said, "He hasn't told anyone. I looked at his current will at his house last month when he went shopping for food. After the new one gets signed, the old one means nothing anymore. He'd been inside my papers, inside my private documents, looking through my personal things. My son, my baby boy, who I'd held as a newborn, who I'd stayed up with during sick nights, who I'd sent to college by working extra jobs because Helen's teacher salary only went so far. That little boy was planning to kill me for money." The tears came then, burning hot and painful. Samuel moved his chair next to mine and held my hand tight while I cried hard. How long did I cry? 15 minutes. 25. When the tears finally stopped coming, I felt empty and hollow inside, like someone had dug out my insides. "What should I do?" asked him. "We call the police right away." "And say what?" "That my neighbor heard a conversation through a fence. That my son was talking about possibilities." I shook my head side to side. "They'd call it a confusion. There's no proof, no recording. It's just your word against his words." "Then what do we do?" I sat quiet for a long time, my brain working through the shock and sadness. I need to think carefully and clearly. I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with here. Thomas, if I tell him what I know now with no proof, he'll say you heard wrong. He'll say it was a joke or they were discussing a television show, and then he'll know I don't trust him. He'll know I found out. I looked at her, and if he's really planning what you heard, people with no choices do terrible things. The fear sat there, cold in my chest and stomach. But something else was growing too. Something harder and stronger. I need to look at those papers he wanted me to sign. I need to understand exactly what his plan was about. How will you manage that? I'll telephone him. I'll tell him I'm ready to sign everything. I'll ask him to bring them here tomorrow. I stood up, holding myself steady against the table, but I won't sign anything. I'll read every single word, and I'll make copies before he goes home. And then I figure out how to protect myself, how to prove what he's planning, and how to make sure he can't hurt me ever. Samuel looked at my face carefully. You're absolutely sure you want this? Maybe you should just leave, stay with friends, never talk to him again. He's my son. The words hurt coming out. And whether I leave or not, he's shown me who he truly is inside. I need to know the complete truth. I need to stop him, not just run away scared. Pulled out my phone. My hand felt steadier now than before. It was time to begin fighting back hard. I called Michael from Samuel's dining room, putting the phone on speaker so he could listen too. Dad, he answered after one ring. Is everything all right? Everything's fine, son. I've been thinking about those papers you brought last week. I'm sorry I was difficult. You're right about everything. I should have things in proper order. A pause, then his voice, careful and measured. So you've read them all over. I'd like to read them. Could you bring them tomorrow morning? Maybe 9 o'clock. I'll sign them then. Tomorrow. Excitement crept into his tone and sound. Could come today, Dad. This evening works. No need to wait longer. Tomorrow is better for me. I have a doctor appointment this afternoon. A lie, but it sounded believable and true. 9 o'clock sounds perfect. Third at 9 o'clock. That's wonderful. Really wonderful. He sounded almost relieved and happy. I'll bring Derek as well so he can watch you sign. Of course he would want that. After I hung up, Samuel and I made our plan carefully. He'd come over at 8:30 before Michael got there. We'd take pictures of every page of every document. Then I'd read them super carefully while pretending to just look quickly. I wouldn't sign a single thing. Not yet. I tell Michael I wanted my own lawyer to check them first. A reasonable thing to ask that he couldn't say no to without looking suspicious and bad. That night, I barely closed my eyes to sleep. I kept thinking about Michael as a little kid. His smile with missing teeth, the way he'd hug me after school every day, the pride in his eyes at his college graduation ceremony. When did it change and become different? When did money become more important than his father? Or had I simply never seen who he really was deep inside? The next morning I got dressed carefully, nice pants, a button shirt. I wanted to look capable and clear-headed, not like someone who could be pushed around or confused easily. Samuel arrived at 8:30 exactly, camera ready and prepared. We set up his phone on a stack of books on the kitchen counter, pointed to capture the table where I'd spread out the documents to read. At exactly 9 o'clock, Michael's car came into my driveway. Derek was sitting next to him. Through the window, I watched them walk to the door, both of them smiling big. Derek carried a small bakery box, my favorite cinnamon rolls from the shop on Maple Street. How thoughtful and nice. How perfectly fake and manipulative. Morning, Dad. Michael kissed my forehead. He smelled like Helen's favorite perfume. Had he worn that on purpose? You look really good today. Feeling strong. Just fine and dandy. I led them to the kitchen area. Want some coffee? We brought you breakfast treats. Crystal set the bakery box down, her smile bright and wide. We're just so glad you're doing this, Thomas. Truly does make everything so much simpler and easier. Michael pulled a brown envelope from his backpack. I made you a copy of everything to keep forever. This set is for signing your name. He spread papers across my kitchen table in front of me. Control of attorney papers. New last will and testament document. Healthcare choice forms. Bank account beneficiary papers with my accounts listed. I picked up the will first, putting on my reading glasses carefully. Behind me, Samuel's phone was recording everything happening. It's pretty straightforward and clear, Michael said, leaning over my shoulder close. Everything goes to me, which is what you always wanted anyway. We just made clearer some language about the estate handling process. made it work more efficiently. I read slowly and carefully, and there it was on page 2. All previous wills, additions, and testamentary gifts are hereby cancelled and revoked completely. The carefully chosen words removing the Animal Rescue League gift, buried in legal language and terms. Casual reader might miss it completely. They'd been counting on me to miss it entirely. The control of attorney was even worse and more dangerous. It gave Michael immediate power over my finances, my healthcare choices, my property and home. It didn't need any doctor's paper saying I was incapable, just his word that I was unable to manage my own affairs and business. This is very detailed and comprehensive, I said slowly and carefully. That's good, right? Crystal's voice was sweet like honey. Comprehensive means protected and safe. It means you'd have complete control over everything I own and have. A beat of silence filled the room. Michael laughed, but it sounded forced and fake. Dad, I'm your son. Obviously you trust me completely. Obviously and of course. I set down the will and picked up the healthcare directive paper. This one made my blood run cold and icy. It gave Michael permission to refuse any life-saving treatment on my behalf, to stop life support machines, to make all end-of-life choices and decisions. If I fell down the stairs, as Michael had so casually suggested to Derek, and ended up in the hospital badly hurt, he could simply let me die, refuse surgery, refuse help. It would all be legal, documented. His right as my healthcare decision-maker. I need my lawyer to check these over, I said quietly and firmly. The temperature in the room dropped fast. Your lawyer. Michael's smile got tight and strained. Dad, this is standard estate planning work. You don't need another lawyer. I need my lawyer to check them. Kept my voice firm and strong. It's my signature, my assets and money. I'd be foolish not to have professional advice first. Crystal's eyes got narrow and thin. We used a professional to make these papers. Our lawyer friend did them. Then my lawyer will confirm everything is in order correctly and I'll sign next week. I began stacking the papers together neatly. I'll make an appointment this week. Michael's voice had changed, harder now and mean. These documents need to be signed and notarized together at once. If you wait and delay, then we'll have to wait and do them together next week instead. I met his eyes directly. Michael, I'm not confused and I'm not being difficult or stubborn. I'm being responsible and smart. You should appreciate that quality. He stared at me hard. For just one moment, I saw something move across his face. Anger, frustration, maybe even hate. Then the mask came back into place. Course, Dad. Whatever makes you comfortable and happy. He gathered the papers stiffly and roughly. Call me after you meet with your lawyer. They left quickly and fast. Derek's goodbye was noticeably colder than before. Through the window, I watched them sit in the car for several minutes, talking with big movements. Michael's hands moved sharply in the air. Derek shook his head back and forth. They knew something had changed badly. They knew I was stalling and delaying, and that made me dangerous to their plans. Samuel came out from the hallway where he'd been hiding quietly. I got everything on video recording. Perfect. I was already opening my laptop computer. Now I need to find a lawyer fast. A real one who knows about. Someone who specializes in elder abuse and harm. Elder abuse and harm. That's what this is really. Financial exploitation and stealing, attempted fraud and lies, and conspiracy to commit. I couldn't say the word murder out loud. My son was conspiring to commit my murder for money. The point of no return had passed already. Now I was fighting for my life and safety. Monday morning, I sat across from Jennifer Martinez, a lawyer Samuel had found through his church community. Jennifer specialized in elder law and had a reputation for being tough and thorough in cases. Her office was small but professional-looking, filled with files and law books on shelves. I brought everything with me. The documents Michael wanted me to sign, my current will, my financial statements and records, and Samuel's video recording of everything. Jennifer watched the video 2 times, her expression growing darker and more serious. This is legally allowed as evidence in Colorado, she said finally. Your neighbor recorded a conversation he accidentally heard on his own property land. That's not illegal wiretapping or recording. It's simply documenting what he witnessed himself. What should I do now? Several things immediately and quickly. Jennifer pulled out a yellow legal pad. First, we file a new will today right now, explicitly stating you're of sound mind and acting without pressure or force. Second, we establish a durable control of attorney, naming someone other than Michael, a professional manager or a trusted friend you have. Third, we notify your bank to flag any attempts to touch your accounts or money. Fourth, we document everything that happens. Every phone call, every visit, every interaction with your son must be recorded. Will that be enough to protect my assets and money? Yes, that will work. To prosecute him legally. She hesitated briefly. That's harder to guarantee. What your neighbor heard is deeply disturbing and concerning. But conspiracy charges need proof of concrete steps toward the crime happening. Right now, they've taken steps toward financial fraud and stealing, but not toward physical harm yet. So, I just wait for him to try to kill me. No, you document everything. You protect yourself strongly, and you build a case against him. Has he had access to your home before? Keys to enter. He has a key from when Helen died, in case of emergency situations. Change your locks today immediately. Install security cameras around your house. Let me write a cease and desist letter establishing boundaries and limits. No more unexpected visits ever. No more pressure to sign documents. If he violates that, it strengthens our case significantly. We spent 4 hours in her office that day. By the end, I'd signed a new will, leaving 15% to the Animal Rescue League, as Helen and I had always planned and wanted, with a remainder to Michael only if he survived me and had not been convicted of any crime against me or my estate money. Poison pill clause, Jennifer called it clearly. I'd appointed Samuel as my healthcare decision-maker. I'd authorized Jennifer to notify Adult Protective Services of the situation happening. This will make him very angry and upset. Jennifer warned me seriously. When he learns you've hired a lawyer, that you've blocked his access to everything, he may get worse and escalate. These situations can become dangerous fast. He was already planning to kill me for money. Yes, but now he'll know you're aware of it. That changes his thinking and calculations. She handed me a business card. This is a detective I've worked with before in the past. Former Denver PD, now does private investigation work. Call him right away, have him install cameras, do a security check, and Thomas, don't be alone with your son anymore. Not ever again. I left her office feeling both empowered and terrified at once. The fear was real and present. My son wanted me dead and gone. But at least now I was fighting back hard. The locksmith came that same afternoon. New locks, new keys for everything. The security company came the next morning early. Cameras at the front door, back door, covering the driveway, a video doorbell, motion sensors everywhere. Michael called 4 times that week. I didn't answer any calls. He left voicemails, each one getting progressively more strained and tense. Dad, just checking in. Call me back, please. Then, Dad, I'm worried about you badly. Please call soon. Finally, Dad, this is getting ridiculous and silly. What's going on? On Friday afternoon, he showed up at my door unannounced. I watched him on the video doorbell camera. Watched him try his key in the lock unsuccessfully. When it didn't work right, confusion crossed his face, then anger appeared. He rang the doorbell over and over insistently. I opened the door but left the chain on tight. Hello, Michael, I said calmly. His smile was forced and fake. What's with the new locks? Home security upgrade and improvement. The police recommended it strongly. The police. Why were the police here? Community safety meeting yesterday. They suggested better locks for elderly people living alone. The lie came smoothly and easily. You could have called me. I would have installed them myself. He tried to see past me into the house. Can I come inside? Actually, now isn't a good time. I have an appointment soon. An appointment with who? My lawyer and attorney. His face went stiff and rigid. Your lawyer about what exactly? About my estate and will. I've decided to make some changes to everything. The mask slipped away. For just 1 second, raw fury flashed across his face clearly. What kind of changes? That's between me and my attorney. Now if you'll excuse me, I need to go. He grabbed the door, stopping me from closing it shut. We need to talk about this right now. Take your hand off my door, Michael, I said firmly. Not until you tell me what's going on here. Did someone put ideas in your head? That nosy neighbor of yours. Because I'm your son. Everything I've done has been for your benefit. Your hand off my door now. Derek appeared behind him on the porch suddenly. Thomas, we're just concerned about you. You're acting paranoid and strange. I'm acting careful and prudent. And I'm asking you both to leave immediately. Fine then. Michael stepped back, but his eyes were hard and cold. But you're making a mistake here. A big mistake. We're family. We're supposed to trust each other completely. Trust is earned through actions, I said quietly. They left, but Derek looked back at me from the sidewalk path. His expression was cold and calculating. They sat in the car again, talking with big movements. Michael's face was red and animated with anger. He hit his hand on the steering wheel hard. Then they drove away fast. I closed the door, locked all 4 locks, and sat down, shaking badly. Samuel came over within 15 minutes. He'd been watching from his window carefully. That was dangerous, he said worriedly. I know it was. What if he'd forced his way inside? The cameras are recording everything. Jennifer said we need documentation of everything. I showed him my phone, where the video doorbell had captured everything happening. Michael's aggression, his attempt to use his old key. His refusal to leave when asked politely. You need a few days away from this, Samuel said seriously. You're running on stress energy. It's gonna crash down. He was right about that. I felt like I'd been holding my breath for a week straight. That night I barely ate any food. I kept checking the cameras constantly, expecting to see Michael's car return. He didn't come back that night, but I knew he wasn't done yet. And I knew I needed to be ready for whatever came next soon. For 4 days I heard nothing from Michael at all. No calls, no visits, no angry voicemails or messages. The silence felt scary and ominous, like the quiet before a big storm hits. I took Samuel's advice and rested myself. I read my books. I worked in my garden. I tried to process the impossible reality happening. My son, my only child, wanted me dead for money he felt entitled to. On the 5th day, Thursday morning, a huge flower arrangement arrived at my door suddenly. 3 dozen tulips, yellow and red, with a card attached. Dad, I'm sorry. Love you. Can we start over fresh? Michael. I took pictures of the arrangement, the card, everything. Then I called Jennifer immediately. Classic manipulation trick, she said firmly. Love bombing after aggressive behavior happens. Testing if you'll soften up. What should I do? Don't respond at all. Let him wonder and worry. That same afternoon, a delivery person brought a gift basket from the specialty store downtown. Cookies, candies, nuts, fancy jams. Another card included. Thinking of you constantly. Please call me soon. I didn't open the food at all. Jennifer had warned me that desperate people sometimes use poisoning, though she said it was uncommon. Still, I wasn't taking any chances at all. The basket went directly to Samuel's shed, completely untouched. That evening my phone rang loudly. Not Michael this time, but Derek instead. Miss. His voice was warm and concerned sounding. I hope you got the flowers today. Michael's been so worried about you lately. I said nothing back. He thinks maybe you're upset about something specific. He can't sleep anymore, Thomas. He loves you so much. Whatever's bothering you, can't we talk about it openly? There's nothing to discuss, Derek. But there clearly is something. You changed your locks completely. You won't see your own son anymore. He's heartbroken and devastated. Pause happened. Thomas, I know relationships can be complicated and difficult, but Michael has always put you first in his life. Always. Don't you think he deserves a chance to understand what's wrong? I'm fine right now. I just need space and time. Space from your family. His voice got sharper slightly. That's not like you at all. Has someone been filling your head with ideas? Because I have to tell you, keeping yourself away from family is a classic sign of mental problems happening. Paranoia issues. It happens with getting older. Michael's worried you might be experiencing some confusion problems. Anger flashed through me, white and hot. He was trying to paint me as senile and confused, setting up a story and narrative. I'm 72 years old, Derek. I'm not confused and I'm not paranoid. I'm making informed decisions about my life and my money. That's my right completely. Course it is. But this conversation is over now. Don't call me again unless I call you first. I hung up before he could respond back. My hands shook with anger badly. They were already building their defense story, their excuse. He was confused and declining. We were just trying to help. The next day, Friday, I found support in an unexpected place nearby. I'd mentioned my situation to my friend Walter at our weekly card game. Kept it unclear. Just said I was having family problems. Walter had pulled me aside afterward. I went through something similar 7 years ago, he'd said quietly. My nephew and his girlfriend tried to convince me to sign over my truck and savings. Said they'd take care of me better. I'm so glad I refused. They broke up 3 years later and I would have lost everything I owned. What did you do? Got a good lawyer like you did already. Set boundaries firmly. It was the hardest thing I ever did, but it saved me completely. He squeezed my shoulder tight. If you need anything, someone to stay with you, a witness for meetings, anything at all, call me immediately. You shouldn't go through this alone. Having Walter's support made me feel steadier. I wasn't being crazy or mean. I was protecting myself like any reasonable person would do. Friday brought another delivery to my house, a framed photo of Michael as a baby, me holding him in the hospital. Both of us smiling, joy on our faces. The note said, "Remember when things were simple. I miss you, Dad." The photo was meant to break me down, to remind me of the innocent child he'd been, to make me doubt what I knew he'd become now. I looked at that photo for a long time. I did remember that day clearly. I remembered every sacrifice I'd made for that little baby boy. Every extra shift, every missed event with friends, every dollar saved carefully. And I remembered Samuel's voice clearly. He said, "Until we can make it seem like an accident. Old men trip and fall constantly. That little baby was gone forever." Or maybe he'd never existed the way I'd believed and thought. I put the photo in a drawer and closed it shut. That night Jennifer called me. The cease and desist letter was delivered to Michael today. It formally tells him that he's not to come to your house without calling first, not to pressure you about estate documents anymore, and not to contact you except through me or by your invitation only. How will he react to this? Honestly, probably not well at all. People like your son, controlling people who feel entitled to your money and assets. They don't like boundaries at all. They see them as personal attacks. He paused briefly. "Thomas, I need you to be very careful this whole weekend. Promise me you won't be alone with him anywhere. Promise that. And keep documenting everything that happens. Every gift, every call, every message sent. It's all part of the pattern we're building for the case." After we hung up, I sat in my quiet house, my doors locked tight, my cameras recording. Outside, evening settled over the neighborhood. Everything looked peaceful and normal. But I knew better now. The calm was only temporary. Michael and Derek were planning, thinking about their next move, and I needed to be ready for it. They came Sunday afternoon without calling first. I was in my workshop fixing a broken chair when I heard the car door slam. I looked up to see Michael and Derek walking up my driveway, both dressed nicely like going somewhere special, though I knew they weren't religious people. Michael held up his hands in a peaceful way as he got closer. "Dad, please. Just 10 minutes. We need to talk. You received the letter from my attorney. That's exactly what we need to talk about." He stopped a respectful distance away. "Can we come inside, please?" Every feeling said no. But Samuel was watching from his window. We'd arranged that after Jennifer's warning. Walter had given me a personal alarm button that connected to his phone, and all my cameras were recording everything. "We can talk out here." The neighbors can hear whatever you need to say. 10 minutes, Michael. That's all. He looked at Derek, then nodded. They followed me to my back patio table where I'd been drinking iced tea. I didn't offer them any. Dad, I don't understand what's happening. Michael's voice sounded hurt and confused. Really good act. That letter from your lawyer, it made it sound like we've been bothering you, like we're enemies. We're not. We're your family. The letter sets boundaries clearly. But why do we need boundaries? Since when can't I visit my own father? You can visit with a phone call first at reasonable times. Derek leaned forward, his face looking sympathetic. Thomas, we're worried about you. These sudden changes, the locks, the lawyer, pushing away your family, they're very concerning. We love you. We just want to make sure you're okay. I'm perfectly fine. But are you really? Michael's tone changed, became more intense. Because fine people don't suddenly act paranoid. Fine people don't cut off their only son for trying to help them plan their future. I'm not cutting you off completely. I'm establishing healthy boundaries. Healthy. Derek laughed. But there was no warmth in it. What's healthy about refusing to let your son in your house? About changing locks without telling him? About running to a lawyer the moment he tries to help you? Help me. I felt my temper starting to rise. Is that what you call it? Michael stood up, getting agitated. That's exactly what it is. Dad, you're 72 years old. Helen's been gone 4 years. You're alone. Something could happen to you and nobody would even be able to get inside to help you. Those papers I asked you to sign, they were just practical preparations for the future. They were designed to give you complete control over my life and my money. Silence fell over us. Michael stared at me. Who told you that? Can read, Michael. I had an actual attorney review those documents carefully. They weren't simple estate planning papers. They were a grab for power and control. His jaw got tight. Power grab. I'm your son. And that means you're entitled to what exactly? My money. My house. The right to make medical decisions for me whether I want you to or not. Derek stood up too, his friendly mask breaking apart. Ungrateful. That's what you are. Do you know how many children abandon their elderly fathers? Michael has been here for you. He calls you. He visits you. He cares what happens to you. And this is how you pay him back. I never asked to be paid back for being a father. No, but you clearly have no problem punishing your son for trying to be a good son to you. His voice had gotten louder. You're acting like he's trying to hurt you when all he's ever done is love you. Is that what you think he's trying to do? I asked quietly. Love me. Course, Derek was almost yelling now. What else would he be doing? Stealing from me, controlling me, planning to kill me. The words hung in the air like a dropped bomb. Michael went very still and quiet. What did you just say? I said, you're planning to kill me for the inheritance money. That's completely insane. But his voice had changed, become flat and dangerous. That's absolutely insane. Who put that idea in your head? Nobody put it there at all. I know what you're planning. You know absolutely nothing. He stepped closer and for the first time I felt physically afraid of my own son. You're a paranoid old man who's been listening to neighborhood gossip. I heard you both, Michael. The lie came out smoothly. In the backyard talking about making it seem like an accident. About falls and medication mixing errors. His face went white, then turned red. You weren't there. You couldn't have been there. But I was listening. Derek grabbed his arm tightly. He's lying and bluffing. He has to be lying. But Michael was staring at me with pure hatred showing now. All pretense completely gone. You've destroyed everything. You stupid, selfish, he caught himself, breathing hard and fast. Get out of my yard now, I said quietly and firmly. Both of you leave. This isn't over yet, Derek hissed angrily. You can't cut Michael out completely. He's your son. He has legal rights. He has no rights to my money while I'm alive, and after I'm dead, I smiled coldly. Well, my new will is very clear about what happens if anyone tries to contest it or if I die under suspicious circumstances happening. Every single penny goes to animal charities. Michael's hands closed into fists. For a moment I thought he might actually hit me hard. Then Derek pulled him back roughly. "Let's go now. He's not worth it anymore." They stormed to their car angrily. Michael slammed the door so hard I heard it from the patio clearly. They sat there for a long moment, both of them yelling at each other loudly before driving away fast. I sat down, my legs shaking badly. My heart pounded so hard I felt dizzy and sick. Samuel was at my door within seconds quickly. "Called the police. I watched the whole thing happen." "He threatened you directly?" No police yet. Not right now." I needed to think carefully. "He didn't actually threaten me. He just got angry." "Thomas, we need more evidence," Samuel said firmly. "We need enough to make charges stick and hold." I pulled out my phone, sent the doorbell video to Jennifer immediately. But now we have them showing their real faces clearly. Now we have proof of their anger and hostility. Now the real war had started. Jennifer called an emergency meeting for Monday morning early. She'd reviewed all the video from Sunday carefully, listened to the audio recording multiple times. Her expression was serious and grim. "This escalation is exactly what I was afraid of happening," she said carefully. "They've dropped the pretense completely. Now they're desperate and angry together. That makes them very dangerous. What do I do now?" "We go on the attack. I've been in contact with that detective I mentioned before, Robert Chen. He's been investigating your son since last week quietly. Financial records, social media activity, background checks. He's found some very interesting things." She opened a folder and spread documents across her desk surface. Bank statements, credit card records, loan applications everywhere. "Your son is in serious financial trouble now. He and Derek have over $70,000 in credit card debt currently. They took out a home equity loan 3 years ago. They've got a boat loan they're behind on payments. Derek's been gambling heavily, online betting, casino trips to Black Hawk. They're drowning in debt." I had absolutely no idea. Had no clue they hid it very well. But 7 months ago, Michael started researching Colorado estate law online, inheritance procedures and rules, and she paused briefly. How to contest wills and establish mental incapacity in elderly parents legally. My stomach turned over. He also downloaded several articles about accidental deaths in elderly people online, false statistics, medication mixing interactions, all deleted from his computer, but Chen was able to recover them successfully. That's planning ahead. Yes, exactly. Combined with the recording of their conversation clearly, the controlling documents he tried to get you to sign, and the pattern of escalating behavior, we have enough to go to the police now. More specifically to the district attorney's office. Will they actually prosecute? Chen thinks so strongly. The DA's office has been cracking down on elder financial abuse cases. This case has conspiracy, attempted fraud clearly, and credible threat of harm. It's exactly the kind of case they want to make an example of publicly. My hands shook. If we do this, there's no going back ever. Michael goes to jail. If you don't do this, Michael might succeed in killing you. She was right. I knew she was right. Okay, I whispered quietly. Do it now. The meeting with the DA happened Wednesday morning. I sat in a conference room with Jennifer, Detective Chen, an assistant district attorney named Lisa Park, and 2 investigators. They recorded my statement carefully. I told them everything. Samuel's overheard conversation, the fraudulent documents, the escalating behavior, the confrontation in my yard. They showed me what they'd gathered together. Michael's financial records, his search history, witness statements from Samuel and Walter, the video footage, the timeline of his increasing desperation. Mr. Harrison, Lisa said carefully and slowly. This is one of the most clear cases of elder financial exploitation and conspiracy I've seen. Your son was working systematically to gain control of your money and assets, and based on all available evidence, planning to cause your death to speed up his inheritance. Hearing it stated so clearly, so officially made it real in a way it hadn't been before. What happens now? We arrest him tomorrow. Both him and Derek, he was involved in the planning and execution. We charge conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted financial exploitation of an elder, and criminal conspiracy. Given the evidence of their conversations about causing your death, we'll also pursue charges of conspiracy to commit murder. When exactly? Tomorrow morning early. We wanted your permission first, but Mr. Harrison, with or without it, we'd be moving forward. This is too serious to ignore completely. I nodded, feeling numb. Thursday morning I stayed home. Jennifer called me at 11:15 a.m. It's done completely. They arrested both of them at their apartment. Your son's being processed now. I should have felt relief wash over me. Instead, I felt completely hollow. That evening, Michael's lawyer called me directly. A public defender, since Michael couldn't afford private legal counsel. Mr. Harrison, my client would like to speak with you. Oh, sir. He's your son. He's absolutely devastated. He says there's been a terrible misunderstanding. There's no misunderstanding at all. He planned to kill me for inheritance money. Tell him I have nothing to say to him. I hung up fast. Derek's sister called next, hysterical and angry. How could you do this to them? To your own son. They were just trying to help you. They were trying to rob and murder me. That's absolutely ridiculous. Derek would never do that. The police have evidence. The district attorney has evidence. If you want to help your brother, get him a good lawyer and tell him to cooperate with the investigation. More calls came over the next few days. Michael's college friends, former co-workers, people I hadn't spoken to in years, all calling to defend his case, to tell me I was being cruel, to say I'd misunderstood everything. Only Samuel, Walter, and Jennifer understood. People don't want to believe that children can be predators, Jennifer explained. Challenges their basic worldview. It's easier for them to believe you're confused or mean than to accept that your son wanted you dead. The preliminary hearing was set for 4 weeks out. Until then, Michael and Derek were both out on bail money, though they'd been ordered to stay away from me. Restraining orders were in place. I should have felt safe. But I knew better. Desperate people, trapped people didn't just give up. They got more dangerous. The night before the preliminary hearing, my alarm went off at 1:43 a.m. I woke to the sound of breaking glass my side window. My heart slammed against my ribs as I grabbed my phone, pressed the emergency button that connected to Walter and to the police. Then I locked my bedroom door tight and stayed in the corner, phone in hand, watching the security camera feeds. A figure in dark clothes climbed through my side window. Male average height. Michael. He moved through my house quietly, carefully, checking rooms, looking for me. My phone buzzed. Walter texted, "Police are coming now." 4 minutes. Stay locked in. On camera, I watched Michael try my bedroom door. Find it locked. His voice was soft, almost begging. "Dad, I just want to talk. Open the door." I said nothing back. "Dad, please. They've ruined everything. That lawyer, those cops, they don't understand. We can fix this. We can tell them you were confused. That you want to drop the charges. Open the door." Silence. His voice changed completely. Became harder and meaner. "Open the door, Dad." He slammed against it hard. Once, twice. The door frame cracked but held strong. "You destroyed my life completely. For what? You're going to die anyway. In 10 years, 15 years. What difference does it make? The money was going to be mine eventually anyway. You selfish, vindictive old man. Sirens. Blows now." Michael cursed loudly. I heard him run back through the house, watched on camera as he tried to climb out the window, and came face to face with police flashlights. "Hands up now. Get on the ground." The arrest was quick. Michael face down on my side room floor, hands cuffed behind his back, screaming that I was crazy, that he was just checking on me, that I'd been in danger. The officers found the tool he'd used on my window, found the bottle of pills in his jacket pocket, my prescription medication, the same pills I kept in my medicine cabinet, heart pills, enough to kill someone if crushed into food or drinks. Detective Chen arrived 30 minutes later. By then, I was sitting on my couch, wrapped in a blanket Walter had brought over, giving my statement to 3 officers. Breaking and entering, attempted burglary, violation of a restraining order, Chen said seriously. And given those pills, we can add attempted murder. No bail this time, Mr. Harrison. He stays locked up until trial. The preliminary hearing became a full court arraignment. The DA added the new charges. Michael's public defender tried to argue that Michael had been worried about his father and checking on his safety, but the evidence was completely overwhelming. The broken restraining order, the forced entry, the stolen medication, his recorded threats. The judge denied bail. Michael would wait for trial in jail. Derek tried to make a deal immediately. His lawyer contacted the DA's office within days. He'd testify against Michael, admit they'd planned to defraud me, admit they'd discussed ways to speed up the inheritance. In exchange, he wanted reduced charges. Lisa Park called me to ask my opinion. What do you think he should get? She asked. The truth, I said. Whatever reflects what he actually did. He was involved in planning to steal from me and kill me. I don't care if he testifies or not. I want him to face real consequences. No mercy. None at all. Derek ended up pleading guilty to conspiracy to commit financial fraud and conspiracy to commit murder. He got 10 years with possibility of parole after 6. Michael went to trial. His defense was that he was in debt and desperate, but never actually planned to hurt me. His lawyer tried to paint me as paranoid, tried to suggest Samuel had misheard the conversation, tried to explain away the search history and the documents as just research. The jury thought about it for 4 hours. Guilty on all counts. Conspiracy to commit financial fraud against an elder, attempted financial exploitation, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder for the break-in. The judge, a man in his 70s with white hair, looked at Michael with cold disgust during sentencing. Mr. Harrison, you targeted the man who raised you, who sacrificed for you, who trusted you. You saw your father not as a person, but as an obstacle to money you felt entitled to. You researched ways to kill him and make it look natural. You attempted to steal his freedom, his assets, and ultimately his life. This court finds you to be a danger to society, and to your victim specifically. 28 years, no parole eligibility for 18. Michael's face fell apart. He looked at me across the courtroom, and for just a moment, I saw the little boy I'd raised. Then his expression twisted into pure rage. This is your fault, he screamed as they led him away. You're supposed to love me. You're my father. I do love you, I said quietly, though I wasn't sure he heard. That's why this breaks my heart. But I love myself more than I love you. The courtroom doors closed behind him. It was over. 8 months after the trial, I stood in my newly painted living room. The window Michael had broken had been replaced with strong glass. The whole frame strengthened. The house felt like mine again. I'd made other changes as well. The guest bedroom was now a hobby room. I'd moved into the master bedroom with the better evening light. I'd adopted 2 dogs from the Animal Rescue League. Golden retrievers named Buddy and Max. The house felt alive again, full again, but in a better way. The life insurance I'd kept on myself had been cancelled the day after Michael's arrest. No point in providing a reason to anyone else. I'd updated my will again with Jennifer's help. The Animal Rescue League would get 60%. The other 40% would be split between scholarships for trade school students and a homeless shelter. Michael was specifically excluded. Not a penny would go to him even after release. Colorado law allowed it, especially given his conviction. My days had settled into a peaceful routine. Mornings with the dogs, lunch with Samuel or Walter, card game twice a month, a woodworking class I'd started at the senior center. Simple things, good things. I'd finally started seeing a counselor, Dr. Rachel Stone, who specialized in family trauma. The grief was real, mourning not just the son I'd thought I had, but the relationship I'd believed existed. Some days were harder than others. You're allowed to love him and protect yourself from him, Dr. Stone had told me. Those aren't opposite things. They're both true at once. I kept no photos of Michael displayed anywhere, but I hadn't destroyed them either. They were stored in the garage. Maybe someday I'd look at them again. Not yet. Walter and I had grown close through all of this. He understood in a way few others could. We took trips together. A weekend to the mountains, a week in Arizona. I was finding independence again, joy, new possibilities. Samuel remained my closest friend. We had coffee every morning, either at his kitchen table or mine. Buddy and Max loved him. Sometimes we talked about Michael, sometimes we didn't. He never said, "I told you so," though he would have been entitled to it. The neighborhood had largely moved on from the scandal. At first, there had been gossip, stares, awkward silences when I walked to the mailbox. But time passed. Other dramas happened. Most people now just saw me as Thomas, the quiet man with the dogs who fixed things in his workshop. Some old friends had sided with Michael, believed his story that I was mean or confused. I'd lost those relationships. It hurt, but Dr. Stone helped me see it as natural sorting. People who couldn't believe a son would hurt his father weren't safe people for me anyway. New friends had appeared. Other men from woodworking class who'd had their own family problems. A widower from card game who'd been estranged from his daughter over his decision to move to a retirement community. Survivors recognized each other. I heard about Michael and Derek through Jennifer, who kept track of their situations through legal channels. Michael was in Colorado State Prison. He'd been disciplined 3 times for fighting in the first 6 months. He'd refused several offers to join family counseling programs. His cellmate had told a guard that Michael spent most of his time angry about the injustice of his situation, blaming me, blaming the system, blaming everyone but himself. He'd written me letters, 5 of them. Jennifer had read them first. They'd been full of excuses, accusations, and demands. "You owe me" appeared in all 5. I'd read them once and put them away. I never wrote back. Derek had ended up at a different facility. According to his sister who'd called me once, I'd listened briefly but politely. Derek had found faith in prison and was attending every religious service and study group available. His sister seemed to think this should earn him early parole. I'd wished her well and hung up. Derek's gambling addiction had apparently been severe. His sister had discovered that Derek had stolen money and valuables from family members before the attempted fraud against me. The family had been in denial. Now they couldn't avoid it. He'd be eligible for parole in less than 5 years. When that hearing came, I would attend and give a statement. I would make sure the parole board understood exactly who he was and what he'd done. Michael's earliest possible parole was 15 years away. I'd be 87 by then. Part of me knew I might not live to see that hearing. Part of me was grateful for that. The money I'd saved my whole life. The money Michael had wanted so desperately was being put to real use. I'd started making donations to causes Helen and I had cared about. The Animal Rescue League had named a dog kennel after us. The trade school scholarship had already sent 4 students to training. I was spending some on myself as well. The trips with Walter, the woodworking classes. Small pleasures I'd always denied myself. What good was security if you never enjoyed it? On Samuel's suggestion, I'd started volunteering at a community center, teaching basic home repair to other elderly people. One man, George, had started asking me about estate planning after his daughter had begun pressuring him about money. I'd given him Jennifer's card immediately. "Don't wait," I'd told him. "Trust your feelings." He'd updated his will that week. Maybe that was my purpose now, using my nightmare to help others avoid theirs. Some nights I still woke from dreams where Michael was climbing through my window. But then I'd hear Buddy snoring beside me. Feel the solid reality of my locked doors and security system. Remember that I was safe. It survived. More than that, I was happy. And Michael was exactly where he belonged. So that's my complete story. My son tried to kill me for inheritance money and I stopped him. I protected myself, prosecuted him and rebuilt my life. Would you have seen the warning signs? Would you have had the courage to act? Or would you have trusted family over your instincts? I hope you never have to make that choice, but if you do, choose yourself. Choose safety. Choose to survive. If this story touched you, please leave a comment below. Share your thoughts, your own experiences. You're not alone in these struggles. And if you want to hear more stories like this, real stories about real people facing impossible choices, subscribe to Granny's Voice channel. I share these truths so others can recognize danger before it's too late. Thank you for listening. Thank you for believing me. And remember, family should be safe. If they're not, you have every right to protect yourself. Stay safe out there.